Thompson's there, Billy in. A goal, Chris Billy, Huddersfield Town. The most famous goal of Chris Billy's life.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
Ruby and Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the frame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted.
Mustafa Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Hello and welcome to the 246th episode of the Andy Takes That Chance podcast. The podcast which feels like it's seen 246 defeats. Such is the toll that this season has taken on us. Just look at us. Grey, withered, crow's feet, bags under our eyes. Yes, Town lost again. And this time, well, obviously not bags under Johnny's eyes, but this time Town have lost in Exeter. Had they gone for the relaxing walk along the old Roman walls and checked out Killerton House like we suggested on the drive-in, maybe the different frame of mind. But it is what it is, and this week my pod partners have been busy. Killer has been away in Sheffield at a vegan food market, topping up his estrogen levels, whilst our esteemed roving reporter, Johnny Gillespie, has come back from the English Riviera with a suntan, but no points on the board. How are we doing, boys?
Very well, thank you.
One to go, Matt. One to go. So we'll start with the positive. That's the positive we need to kick off this podcast with. One more game to go.
Just one, and then that's it. Anyway, well, so here, sign up for the Patreon. It's like selling snow to Eskimos, and it's free. I'm about to do a number of articles about who we should retain, spoiler, no one, and who we should look at signing in the summer as well. I've got an injury matrix, loads more. Plus, I've been told by one person that my player ratings are absolutely bang on, so I'm going to take that one comment to heart. So sign up at www.takesthatchance.com. And also, I want to give a big shout out as well to Barry Smith. Barry's an avid listener of the podcast, and here he's been a bit under the weather recently. So, Barry, thanks for listening. Thanks for all your support, mate. And your support of the podcast and us three idiots is very much appreciated. And all of us boys wish you well. And if there's anything we can do, let us know. And it's your grandson, Dan, who's giving you the big shout out, Barry. And to cheer you up as well, we've got the green light for our first Cult Hero episode for a good year or so, and it's going to be a belter as well. So have a look out for that one. Right, boys, Exeter City 3. Exeter City without a recognised striker 3. Huddersfield Town 1, we should say. Although Sonny Cox is, I suppose, a recognised striker. Killer, stop laughing. They didn't have their main guy, Josh McGuinness. I think the first thing to talk about is Matty Pearson as captain. And I never really go much against John Worthington, do I? But I just felt this was sort of bad optics, really. He's been poor lately. Me and Killer discussed it. We on the driving whether we'd even pick him for this game, such as the recent performances, and we tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, didn't we, as to whether he's carrying an injury or something like that. But there's just other little things like running off straight down the tunnel after every game. It's just not really what a captain does, is it? I mean, he's getting a little bit of stick from the crowd, but you go out and you take your medicine, don't you, as a captain? And I thought maybe Worthy was trying to G him up for a last game or two to guide the young lads through, but I have to be honest, I wasn't 100% behind that one given the last few weeks. But I suppose, Killer, the question is, if it's not him, who else is he going to give it to?
Anyone, Matt, to me, to be totally honest. I think the behaviour we've seen on the field over the last few weeks from Matty Pearson has been visibly awful. It's been disgusting for a guy that's been such a good servant for us for the last few years. But I can't sit here and pretend that what's going on's acceptable in any sort of form. I didn't go to the Exeter game, but I've been to Burton. I were in the Kilner Bank when there was the booing issue, or the and then the apology afterwards. And there's been so many little tiny incidents over the last few weeks that is kind of
the shushing of the crowd and stuff.
The shushing, yeah, that's the one. And there's so many little incidents that's happened. How can you then reward that guy with the captaincy of our club? Like, I just don't understand it, Matt. And I just feel like it's another disconnect, and another disconnect between the way the club is being run at the moment in all departments and the fans, because the outrage beforehand, okay, it's tempered a little bit. I don't think everyone gets as upset about it as I do, but then there's other things that doesn't upset me as much. But this one really stuck with me, Matt. I understand, like you said, the argument that it's trying to make him set an example. And to be fair to Mike Pearson, after the game, he did go to the away fans and clap, which is a change, right? But he shouldn't take the captaincy to do that. To me, being a captain is a reward for leading the team, being the person that everybody else should follow. And honestly, as a supporter and as an amateur pundit, as we guys are here, I know it's probably grand, isn't it? It's probably $2,000 for what we do. But even for us, it should be something that's earned, right? And to me, it just felt a bit wrong, Matt. And it really, as soon as I saw the team, that's what stuck out. A few other things as well, to be totally honest. But that alone, I didn't like it, Matt. I didn't like it because, especially with Johnny Worthington, he's a kind of guy that gave everything in every game. And I can't remember one of these incidents with what we've seen recently with Mike Pearson happen when Johnny Worthington were captain. I can't remember it. And you probably remember better than I can, Matt, if it did happen. But it didn't. Yet he's picked him.
Worthy played through hernia injuries for months to play for Huddersfield Town with nothing to play for. He was a warrior, was Worthy as a player.
I just didn't like it, Matt, personally. But then that just might be me overstepping the mark. But it just another little symptom of a big problem that we have at the moment in the club, even before kick-off, in that what the fans feel and what the fans want is not what we're getting from pretty much anyone at the club at the moment.
Johnny, did you feel the same way? Because I don't like going in on Matty Pearson because I think he's been great for us until the last few months. I think he's been a good pro for us. And it's just it feels like a sad way to go out. And to be honest, he played all right. I thought he played quite well in the first half. Second half, I mean, he's got a lot of moving parts around him, hasn't he? He's got Turton at centre back with him. He's got a young lad at right back who's making his full debut, and Spencer had to go off injured. There's a lot of change, but I thought he'd done okay. So I think maybe the effect that Worthy maybe hoped for happened. But again, I think Killer's right, to be honest. I'm not as frothy as Killer is, but it just, I don't know. I'm the same. I think being the captain should mean something, and whoever's setting the best example should really be wearing the armband. And I just feel like he's not quite been at it. But just you can wrap up that chat as well and move on to the team changes as well, because we also had Chapman in goal. That's one that Killer thought would happen on the drive-in. Props to Killer. And he made sense, didn't you, Killer, when you mentioned why? And I think that maybe now sends a message as well, now that the season is officially done and we can't do anything, that maybe Lee Nichols might not be the number one going into next season. Maybe he might be on his way in the summer, etc. And they just have another look at Jacob Chapman. So there's a couple of things there that you can lead us into, Pearson and Chapman, mate. And take it away. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so going back to Pearson, I am in agreement. I guess one thing just to add a bit of the other side of the argument, we don't see what's going on in the training grounds. I mean, the optics of the pitch are quite clear. Heading down, straight down the tunnel, which he's done. Not even like a turn and a little clap and go. He's literally just turned around. No, nothing given and straight down. Doesn't look good. I don't agree in trying to give someone a capacity to engineer some spirit. I don't think it should be used in that way, so I agree with that. I guess we kind of don't see what happens Monday to Friday. Maybe there is a bit more behind the scenes to it. I'd personally give it Chapman. The only song that we got from a player all game was to Chapman. I know he's young, inexperienced, but he's not young. He's inexperienced in starts for Huddersfield Town. But if you talk around what you said there, someone who embodies the club, wants to play for the club and has passion to play for the club, I'd say he's probably number one on that list. He's a real down-to-earth individual, clear passion for playing for Town. Had a bit of like nice moments with the fans when he was obviously in front of our standing net. And the fans wrote his only name that the fans sung in the entire 90 minutes. So I'll probably give it him. Yeah, changes. I mean, just one thing back to Mike Pearson. He did have a good game. There were a few 50-50s where he went in 100 miles an hour, full-blooded. A few times where, I mean, as a Town play a little bit closer, but that little bit of like dallying. He was straight through, head the ball out, kick the ball as he always does, and probably had a great chance to score as well. So the game, if Worley's used that as a bit of a carrot rather than a bit of a stick, it did work, but I don't think what the captaincy of the football club should be used for that. But yeah, going back to the changes, it was good to see. I mean, it was good to see a little bit of a change. I think fans kind of wanted that bit of freshness. It's just a shame that we don't have. I mean, we don't have the younger players, the players looking to push through that. I mean, ahead of the academy, generally you would see lean on. I mean, back in the day we had like Lillis and Murphy. That's when you get a flavour to see a few little players come through and I get to watch them and see them. And I mean, doing that, it's a good thing to do when a football club's struggling like we are in many, many ways, because it takes a bit of anger out of the fans, because they're not going to. I mean, no one's going to get on Eccleston and necessarily Chapman, are they? And if you can play or blood a few youngsters and get some people in who want to, take the opportunity and play for the shirt, because that's what they've been trying to do all their career to date, it does help just create a bit more of a nice atmosphere. But it's just a shame we don't have anyone. And if we did, they'd be playing. So I think to flip it around, it does show a little bit of alarm bells in that regard. But I think it was great to see Kane back in. He can do something a little bit different that other players can't do. It's good to see him start. Good to see Eccleston play. I think we'll kind of touch on that performance a little bit. But yeah, fair to see him start, but difficult game for him, kind of out of position. But yeah, again, Koroma started, got his goal. Fits and starts throughout the game, but even the changes, it doesn't really necessarily. It's nice to see a bit of a change, but it doesn't really spark much excitement, does it? There's still a lot of people there thinking, all right, well, that's not going to drive me into a football game, or that's someone I'm excited to go and see and watch, and let's see how they get on. Appreciate they might be a younger player. It's still just the same rotation of people out, people in. Players playing out of position. So yeah, it's good to see some changes. But I'd say the only one that actually really strikes some positivity from the fan base was Chapman. And what that means for next season, who knows? But we shall see.
I thought the system was a little bit. He's played this system a couple of times, hasn't he, Killer? And it's not really functioned well. It's kind of a 3-5-2, 4-4-2 diamond sort of hybrid-y kind of thing, isn't it? And I think when you do that, when you've got, I know Michael Duff addressed this, that there's a lot of teams have a system on the ball and a system off the ball, but it tends to be like 3-5-2 on the ball, 5-3-2 off it, rather than having people running from central midfield to wing back, like David Kasumi was kind of doing at some point. It just seemed a little bit too much for him sometimes, and it looked a little bit too much when they scored their first goal. But we'll talk about Town's start, and like we mentioned, it was a full debut for Neo Eccleston as well. He's like Johnny said, it's good to see this. I thought we might see more of Tom Yapenda, in all honesty, but we didn't, did we? But Koroma's goal, and it frustrated me more than anything else, this goal, because Anthony Evans starts it with a good tackle. We don't see that a lot. But he does well, and Herbie Kane, I think it is, who plays the ball, doesn't it, out to Koroma. It's a brilliant first touch, uses his speed, opens his body and slots it in the bottom corner. It's a brilliant goal, and it gets in the top 10, I think, for the goals of the season this season. It's pure Josh Koroma. The reason why it frustrated me is because I felt like he should have done this exact same goal 6-7 times already this season, and it's probably the second one. I think I can remember Mansfield away being a little similar-ish. And I just thought it just sort of like you just thought what could have been really, or what should have been this season. I know Koroma's now got double figures. And I think some people outside will look at it and go, oh, he's got double figures, Koroma. Doesn't always play up front. Sometimes plays wide. He's had to play wing back at times, etc. He's had injuries. He's been in and out. His form's been all over. And he's still got double figures. And I think some will look at that from outside the club and think, yeah, that's not too bad. But inside the club, it just feels like a missed opportunity. I know you and Killer, you and Pozzer always have this thing, don't you, whereby you say if Koroma plays 40 games up front, he'll score 20 goals. And he has been a little bit all over, and I just felt like when he scored that, I was just like, oh, you would do this now, wouldn't you? As soon as we can't do anything this season, you would go and score this great goal. 3 goals in 3 games. when there's nothing to play for. And I know he's had his injuries, but it was just one of those where I just like, I wish he'd have done this months ago and then carried on that run. It was just one of those, mate.
It's not all his fault though, Matt. You have to remember that when he was in form before, Duff managed him out of the team. We changed our entire system, and he ended up playing not as. But then when he came back, he never really got another chance. And like you said, Matt, the system that we went with yesterday was, well, strange at best, and we've seen it so many times this season. And Koroma playing as that wide forward meant we were absolutely knackered on the right-hand side defensively, which we'll go on to when it comes back to conceding goals. But it is Koroma. That goal is Josh Koroma. That's what we've seen over and over again. And I do stick by it. I think the best two strikers we have at this club today is still Danny Ward and Josh Koroma, which is ridiculous when you consider how much money we've spent on strikers. Quickly, just back to the team selection, I found it quite strange that Hodge started, considering he's not going to be here next year. And like I say, Upenda's on the bench. I found that quite strange. And Hoggy has only potentially got another couple of games left. It was a weird shout that for me, Matt, because at this point, if you're chucking young lads in at the back, I think I'd be looking at also chucking in the guys that are definitely going to be here next year. So even though I'm a big Josh Koroma fan, I still find it a little bit strange that he was picked instead of Taylor. I think when you spent $3 million on a striker, and he's been back, 6 weeks? Well, not 6 weeks, probably four weeks without really getting a run again. He's played his way out of play starting because he's been so poor. But I thought yesterday had been a good chance to get him and Charles in together and trying to fashion something that way. But apparently that's not what Worthington wanted to do, and went with Koroma instead, who I thought actually started really well, Matt. He had a dry run, a couple of minutes before with a similar chance, and you could see that the game plan in attack yesterday was very, very simple. It was a quick pass into a midfielder to turn and play the ball as quickly as possible on the counter-attack into Josh Koroma, who was wide left. And it works. That's what we spoke about all season, Matt, where we don't normally score this, or this year we've not scored that goal. We've not scored a quick transitional goal where we've got the ball back. To me, guys, I think it's a potential foul on Evans, on Sonny Cox, Matt. He's all arms on him. You could say it's a good tackle, but he's all the handy. I think he's a bit handy, and I think if we concede a goal that way, we're very, very a bit handsy. He's a bit handsy on Cox. But if we concede a goal like that, we get a bit upset. But to be fair, though, a lot of luck went against us in this game later on. But it was just that nice quick bit of football that got Koroma down his left. But what really happened there, in the first chance that we had doing this, it was, I think Turton played it into Hodge, and Hodge played it quickly to Koroma. It was McMillan, the wing-back, that was marking Koroma, and he did his job perfectly. He showed Koroma the outside to try and get a crossing, and he ended up getting a block, and the keeper, Whitworth, collected it pretty simply. Whereas for the second chance, because we attacked even quicker when Evans won the ball back, McMillan was too high that it meant the exiter's right centre-back had to come across, and I think it was McDonald. I'll tell you what, it's confusing naming all the defenders from Exeter, because they had two McDonalds and a McMillan, and they also had Turns playing at centre-back, and the pair of them went over, and they've obviously not done the same research on Koroma, because we all knew what he was going to do. We all knew he was going to cut in on his right-hand side and trying to pass it into the net, Matt. And for all the bullying up we did of Whitworth before the game in the driving, Matt, he should have done a little bit better with that, I think. I don't think he was... I don't think it's unstoppable. I don't think it's unstoppable because it's very predictable. And he should have at least done the research to see what Koroma is going to do on that one. I mean, he adjusted second half and did a little bit better with another chance. But to me, he probably could have done a little bit better. But it's just, that is Koroma. And he's going to go somewhere this year. Probably League. I still don't think he'll make Championship. I think he'll go back into League One. But he'll be a starter week in and week out. And he'll score a lot of goals next year. And they'll all be like that. And we'll be sat here wondering, most likely, why we can't get somebody who can score as many goals as he can in that way.
Johnny, he missed. We can move on. We'll just talk about Josh Koroma, but he had other chances in the game as well, didn't he? He rounded the keeper at one point, and you just think, just use your left foot, just sweep it in, and he just had to cut back on that right again, didn't he? And there's a couple of other bits and pieces, and whereas the goal was great, there were other like little frustrating moments, weren't they? But like Killer says, he's probably the only goal threat we carry whereby you think something's going to happen when he's got the ball.
I mean, it's the end of Josh Koroma's contract, and we've sat and had this conversation a few times, haven't we? Whether it's intentional or not, he's a streaky player, so he must happen to get one. Do you know what I mean? Start of April, and that's why he always gets a couple. But yeah, that is one thing that's massively lacking from his game. The one way around to keeper, personally, I don't know why he doesn't shoot. He's kind of created. He's a little bit more central. He's kind of created that angle. He takes it wide. And he can get his left foot around a bit. It's a lack of confidence, and the keeper recovers well. To be fair, makes a good block. And there's another chance as well where he just didn't shoot later on in the game at all. Didn't square it across to Joe Taylor, who I think literally gives up the ghost at that point because he could have had quite an easy tap in. But yeah, it's what you do, and I can't disagree with Killer. To be fair, I think if you play him, he's always one of the few players we've got in this team who can create something. He doesn't need to be put on a plate for him. He can beat a man, and he can turn to his favourite spot and put the ball in the back of the net. And sometimes having a player that can just do something where you doesn't need to be over-engineered for them is used to handle football in a team. So at this level, but then it's a case of how many times does he do that? I was in your camp, Matt. Thinking this could be a good season for Koroma, dropping down that level, even though I guess the sample we got from loans he's had haven't necessarily shown that as well. With Portsmouth and I think Rotherham at this level as well. He went out there, but yeah, I don't know. It's how many times you kind of keep trying, and he is so slow. We've seen it with a few players that we can name. We'll let go, having really tried to get it to work, and he probably will do well. I guess the other thing is Reed's contract as well. It's what we'd have to pay him, Reed, another contract, and whether money could go elsewhere and stuff. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I personally think we probably won't look to keep him, but I think if we did, we could definitely do a lot worse than Josh Koroma. I know he's sometimes he kind of got a little bit of a saunter on the pitch, but I wouldn't necessarily put him down as a player who's never not cared or necessarily kind of like been a real problem. I think he does have a bit of a saunter, but I do think he's a player that does give a shit compared to some others as well. So that's my personal opinion. But I wouldn't be upset to see him here next season. But I personally don't think we will do.
The equaliser then, it was just we've been done by a straight ball again down the flank, and it's frustrating because we're constantly getting done by these straight balls, and it's literally a ball down. Turton gets done 1-on-1. The ball comes across. Matty Pearson's not really. Matty Pearson, I think, has been caught a little bit higher, hasn't he? So Neo Eccleston comes across, and I think he does an okay-ish job, or he does what he's supposed to. He throws himself in, puts the other guy off. But then you get the lost in transition moment from the system, from a back four to the back three, and Koroma going from midfield to right wing back or whatever he's doing, and it's these points whereby you have to be completely in tune with each other to get it right. And Tam weren't, and Kasumu just stop, start, and then Niskanen comes in. And I think what's annoying about that goal is basically Niskanen's wearing a shirt from the club shop because it's not got a number on the back or anything. It just looks like a bloke's run on the pitch and taps it in. But it's frustrating from our point of view. I mean, they'll probably be quite happy with it, but for me, that was symptomatic of the system itself and how if the sort of two formations, possession in and out of possession, are so wildly different, then you do get those moments where if you turn the ball over quite quickly, then you struggle to get back in killer at times.
You do, Matt, but I actually think we managed to get back in phases of this play, but then they're knackered from trying to get back, and then they just let the runners go. And even though they are there to start off with, it's the effort they've put in to get back into position because of that position to transition is like a rhyme. Then they don't have the energy to continue that tracking, Matt, and that's what cost us twice there. But from this moment, Matt, you could see Eccleston and Kasumu weren't enjoying playing together. You could see just elements of issues there, and I do think that's a systemic issue from having to overcorrect what's going on the other side, Matt. But that goal actually starts in the exact same way Burton beat us, and now the way Burton beat us was a little short passing to somebody that came short, right? And Pearson followed them into midfield. And once Pearson was in midfield, they'd have a long ball down the middle and they'd make it a race. And to be fair to Matty Pearson, Captain Matt, he didn't do that this week. He was much better. But the problem was Spencer did it. Brody Spencer did exactly the same thing Pearson's done in the last few weeks. So Spencer's followed in Cole, I think it was, for a quick little 1-2 pass. It's gone backwards. It's meant he's out of position. And that's when the panic stations hit. And now these are the overloads that you have to create in football to score goals quickly on the counter. Not necessarily on the counter attack, but direct goals. And this is where we are the weakest. Spencer goes high, nobody covers. And the issue here is Johnny Hogg does cover that. That's what Johnny Hogg offers his team. Our problem is Joe Hodge doesn't. So Hodge doesn't read that Spencer's too high and filling for him. And from that moment, we're in trouble as it's a 3-on-3. Turton's doing his best, but it's not quite good enough. Pearson, Matt, to me, is looking at Turton thinking, if he gets beaten here 1-1, I'm going to have to go over to him. And that's when it's not Niskanen in the middle. I think it's Sonny Cox in the middle of Eccleston and Pearson. Cox in the middle. Eccleston, if he's Cox in the box, and if Eccleston's an experienced pro, he knows Pearson doesn't have eyes in the back of his head, and he's trying to watch Turton, which meant Eccleston then would have got goal side of Sonny Cox, but he doesn't. And to be fair, Cox should have scored. He didn't, because maybe Eccleston got a touch on it. He did quite well eventually getting back, but if he's an experienced pro, I think he clears that problem pretty easily, and he doesn't. The problem is Kasumu did get back to follow Niskanen initially, Matt, but then he just lets him go. He just lets him go, and if you go back to the highlights, you can see he stood next to him. But by the time Niskanen sets off, because he reads that there's a chance coming, Kasumu's too late, Matt. But this is typical beach football. Season's over. Attacking wise, everyone still wants a goal, but defensively, this is what people mean when they say the players have given up. It's these little tiny moments, because it doesn't matter the same as it did a few weeks ago when you're chasing the playoffs. These tiny split-second moments when you're playing at the top echelons of professional football, and okay, it's League One and people joke about it. You've got to remember, there's still only, 1,000 professional footballers in England. It's the most competitive thing you can try and do. It's so difficult to get in, but the margins are like that. And if you turn off for a split second, either through inexperience like Eccleston or can't be asked like Kasumu, you have to pay for it. And Exeter really took advantage of us not being at it in those moments, Matt.
Yeah. Frustrated. Just I don't know, giving up on him. Second half, Johnny, you were right behind the goal, and Evans floats the corner over, and Herbie Kane volleys it into the back of the net. It was Paul Scholes versus Bradford kind of territory, isn't it? Maybe not quite as good, but almost. And then it gets ruled out because Dion Charles is in the wrong position. And to be honest, I watched initially, everyone was like, what's he disallowed that for? And then you watch the replay, and Charles is just slightly behind Whitworth, which means he's offside, and he's within inches of him, which means he kind of interferes with Whitworth's dive that way as well. So it is offside, but what a shame it is as well, because it's such a clean hit from Herbie Kane. It's a good corner from Evans. Another, he put two good deliveries in, and that was one of them. And Herbie Kane strikes it, and it's one of those where it deserves to be a goal just for how nice it is. But unfortunately, Dion Charles has cost more goals than scored this season, and I don't really think it's his fault per se, but I think he needs to be a bit more switched on with what's going on there, if I'm honest.
He was caught offside quite a few times in this game, and he's been caught offside quite a few times in games that he's played. So I don't know if it's starting to become a bit of an issue. It needs to have a little bit of a look at. But this is a different one to obviously normally running the line, etc. But yeah, it's frustrating. It's one of them where you see it live and you don't even look at the flag, because it's not a situation where you ever have to. So Town fans are going wild. Kane's run off, and unfortunately, he's got one of those unique collector's items, which are like the top 10 goals scored that never counted. That's definitely a YouTube search for people there, because some absolute crackers in that list. But yeah, I do feel for Kane. Yeah, look, obviously it's live. You don't really know what's happened. Linesman's flagged, and you're thinking, well, what for? But when you do watch it back, yeah, he's the keeper steps up in front of him. He's doing what he should do at a corner, which is kind of not obstructing the keeper. That's a foul, but make it difficult. But then again, it's kind of reading what's going to happen, and surely there's a sign put up by Evans that you know you're going to do that. Just being switched on, that recognising, okay, well this could be a situation that could happen. Recognising that, just reading of the game, being a smart footballer, and that's not just saying Dion Charles isn't a smart footballer. I'm just saying it's just that little bit of nous, a little bit more switched on that we seem to lack in areas all around the pitch. But it is the correct decision. The keeper is kind of hindered. I don't think he's ever going to get there. But if he makes the case, and it's fair enough, it's fair enough refereeing. But yeah, it is frustrating because quite quickly they go to the other end and score. And yeah, it's one of them kind of like unlucky moments that Kelly said we were unlucky. And that was probably the first big bit of bad luck that kind of went our way, really.
I mean, Pearson, it's another good ball which Evans puts in, and Pearson hits the crossbar, and he should score. But before that, or you would think Pearson would score. That's one of Matty Pearson's usual go-to headers. Is that? But before that, Town, and it shows the mental weakness as well, because just after that disallowed goal, Town concede, and it's a long throw-in, and it's crap defending. There's no other way to sort of describe this. It's crap defending from 3 people. I thought 3 people were culpable here. 2 mostly. I thought Turton gets done initially. I think it's poor from Turton. Eccleston, I'm not going to hammer too much because it's his full debut. I know I'll leave that to Killer, but he doesn't get tight enough. And Jacob Chapman should be set at this point. He should have set himself for when the shot comes in, but he's still moving when the shot comes in, which unfortunately makes him going forward towards the ball unable to react to it. Whereas I think Lee Nichols is set in position there and has a better chance, but it's probably splitting hairs at that point. But I just thought the 3 of them together there, it's just inexperience from one, inexperience from 2 maybe, and then the other one I thought should do better. I thought Turton should do better in that situation, to be honest, Killer.
You're not just Pearson in there as well as a 3-man between 2 guys.
Throw everyone in, mate. Throw all 11 in for all I care at the minute.
Yeah, well, I'll go with 4. Chappers should do better for me, but then it's one of those quick little reaction things, Matt. He's just flicked it. Should it? But it's just, do you know what, Matt? Tommy Tonks, Dan Creaney,
you got to be aware. You got to be aware.
Tonks and Dan Creaney this year, though, Matt, they have ruined this season for us. We look terrified. We're absolutely terrified of them. We look awful. You can just every time we get. You remember like Nathan Clark used to lob it in long, and we get really excited. We never scored from it. I think we did once. But very rare. It wasn't very often.
We scored a couple. I remember Brentford where we scored twice in injury time against Brentford to win 3-2 at home. That was good.
That was it. Yes, yeah, we did. But it was quite rare to see how many throw-ins we had that were long.
Luke Beckett away against
that many that we scored from either direct or like second phase. All right, Matt. All right. All right, Matt. Don't rubbish my argument here. But it doesn't happen very often. But when it comes to defending throw-ins this year, we have been atrocious. And they give.
Yeah, we have.
Is that your limit? Fair enough. But no, he just lives with his Matt. Honestly, come on. You've got Turton there. It looks like he's never defended a throw-in in his life. What is he doing? Just stop him. I think Pearson should do better because he's a free man and his job there is meat. I think I eat more meat than meat eater Pearson at the moment when it comes to doing his job as the free man on set pieces. But to be fair to him, I think, is it McMillan? One of McMillan's at McDonald's. He had hold of him and he's grabbed him a little bit. And that's just another thing, though. There's just another element of luck or misfortune there where, to me, the Charles issue, I think Charles, his awareness, as you said, Johnny, is just non-existent at the moment. Dion Charles, since he's joined us, there's a very, very big gap when it comes to match awareness and what's going on. He hasn't read that there's nobody on the posts. Normally there's somebody on the post that you can kind of stand there with your marker behind you and you're on side. I don't think he's aware that there's nobody there, which is uncommon, to be fair. And I don't understand how that's happened because Kane's also free on the edge of the box. But shout out Anthony Evans, Matt. It's a cracking corner. I don't give Evans too many plaudits this year, but I thought it was an absolute cracking design set piece, and it's a shame it didn't stand because for me, even with Dion Charles where he was, I think it's harsh cancelling it out. But it comes to the throwing, these 4 guys there that have to do better, Matt. But again, this is us this season. In these moments, we aren't good enough. It happens too many times in every game where there's individual errors or these. But it's not just like one person making one error. It's like one person making the first error, nobody covering the error, and then a second person making another error, and then the keeper not being too great. It typifies what League One football's about and why we aren't ready for it with the guys that we have at the moment. It was just Tamworth all over again, Matt, and I'm never going to forget it, unfortunately.
As soon as Exeter go 2-1 up, Johnny, there's one winner, and they absolutely batter us. We're absolutely crap at this point. I mean, Turton's yellow card is just like bizarre, isn't it? How you can see the confidence has gone at this point. And Chapman makes a couple of saves. Not one of them's fairly decent. That was going far side, but the third goal is just it's just awful. The third goal, it's just the ball goes back outside. I'm trying to watch it now as well. We're doing it, so it's another set piece, isn't it? Basically, and we have been so bad at set pieces since Mikael Hellick went. Also, funnily enough, Mikael Hellick has the highest percentage in terms of win percentages. Mikael Hellick is the player with the highest win percentage out of all the players. One wanted to vote for him as player of the season to send a little message, but they've taken him off the ballot, unfortunately. So, who do you vote for now? Who knows? Tom Lees? I don't know. But anyway, the ball comes in and nobody goes. The corner's taken short. Even the cameraman's not watching when you watch it back on the highlights. No one from town's watching. It must be someone from town doing the video. It must be. I don't know. I'm gonna throw someone on the bus and then decided against it, killer. But it goes out and then the guy just peels off Kasumu. Kasumu's watching again and he's watching the ball and not his man, and it's possibly offside when the ball comes in, to be honest. But who gives a crap? And the header, I thought Chapman was weak on it again. To be honest, I think, but it's one of those where it's so close. Again, you're not pointing a big finger at him. You're just kind of shrugging a little bit and going, Kasumu should do better. Could Chapman do better? Probably. It's just crap again. In fairness, it's just absolutely crap. And a team that's not switched on, doesn't care, on the beach. And what's annoying though is like Johnny's driven down from Rottenstall to go watch that, and it's a long way, and it's money spent watching it to watch players just not really give a shit. And I think that's what's painful. And I didn't drive down because I knew exactly what we'd get. But I just feel I look behind the goal and there's it's packed out with town fans away at Exeter. It's a brilliant following again, and they're just not getting anything for what they're paying from the players. They're not getting effort. They're not getting results. There's just nothing at the minute, and it's just really poor. And you can point the finger at everyone at some point, can't you? It's just, but I just can't wait for this season to finish, Johnny. And I'm sure you're in the same position. It's just miserable at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of described the set piece there. How no one's looking for a short corner, I've no idea. But if you pause it just before the lad from Exeter takes it, you've got Oyturton stood there with his hands on his hip, looking at no one. Neo Eccleston's facing the wrong way. Sorensen's doing nothing. Taylor's got his hands on his hips again. Pearson looks reasonably set, and Kasuma's looking the wrong way. If that doesn't, epitomise the entire situation that we're currently in, then I don't know what does. And it's just like Killer said, it's to be at this level, you're still an elite athlete. It might not look it. It might look a bit agricultural when you play football, but put these lads on a five-a-side pitch in a decent league, they will still. I mean, it is absolute chalk and cheese the difference. They're still elite athletes. You'd have as much respect for yourself to care to perform at the level in the situation you have been gifted in your life to be a professional footballer. Then I just don't know what you're doing. And in a situation like that, it's irrelevant how far fans have travelled. To have enough respect for yourself. That's what I don't understand. Do you mean I've never played football at a high level. I play football Monday night. And it winds me up when people give up with 2 minutes to go. That's just my mentality, okay? I don't get paid for it. Do you know what I mean? My wife wants me to stop to come back out of my injuries, but I still care because I'm doing something and I care about what I do. These are professionals. And how you can not just be switched on, recognising 90 minutes in a game, I just don't understand it. It's a cultural thing, and it's been a problem for Huddersfield Town at certain points in seasons, season in, season out, for a long time, and it's something that needs to stop. And it doesn't matter if it's a dead rubber. It doesn't matter if we're already 2-1 down. It's like whatever 80th minute the game was. The fact that's allowed to happen, that screenshot is allowed to happen, and those players are allowed to just give up or not care or not switched on. It's absolutely shocking. And do you mean it's that bit of desire that we just seem to don't have, and we've got players of less quality week in week out at the moment, making us look like absolute mugs. And how the players don't go into training on Monday night and just want to do better. We've got the team that have won 5 out of 5 coming to us on Saturday. But God knows what's going to happen. It's like you just have some self-respect.
6 out of 6.
Yeah, just have some self-respect and just be looking the wrong way when they're about to take a corner. 3 players looking the wrong way when you're about to take a corner like that, and he's not switched on.
Johnny, when he plays that ball, Town have got 9 defenders in the box, and Exeter have got 3 attackers, and one of those 3 still scores. That's how shit we are.
Yes, because players break out, there's panic, everyone knows where they're going, no one does know. It's just, again, it's more than the goal, isn't it? It's a cultural problem that's been allowed to happen. And going back to leaders on the pitch, etc., and who you make captain, things like that, it shouldn't be allowed. And the fact that no one's pulling people out, calling people, and they're sorting off, and they don't care. They don't care because it's 3-1, the game's gone. I mean, that should, I mean, a professional sports person in any regard, it shouldn't matter. You've still conceded a goal. Something's gone wrong. Something bad has happened. If that's happened, so people should still care about that. And yeah, from the fan perspective, people have put time and effort in. The players did come over and clap and got a bit of abuse. Probably not quite as bad as it's been. Whether that again is a good sign, I don't know. I think fans have genuinely given up or started not to care, and those two things are probably more worrying. I think when you stop to care, you stop caring about something, you actually can't be bothered to be angry. That's a really bad sign. And we can go on for a lot more about the issues at the football club and things like just the fact they even put the score wrong on YouTube. Again, is that just care? Is that just a big mistake? I don't know. But just as things across football clubs aren't working, and when you start to lose fans and fans just don't care, that's when you've got real problems, especially when you're trying to sell season tickets. Rant over.
No, it's good because I've put that forward a few frames, and when the cross comes in for that goal, we've got 10 players in the box to their 5, so we still double, and the guy's free, and it's inexcusable, to be honest. We're now 10th, which is the lowest we've been since 2007. It's just, if we finish 10th, then it's the lowest since the Andy Ritchie season in 2006-07, and it's so bad. Honestly, it's so bad, and I don't think anyone saw this coming this season and how it's been since 2025. And I think if you put the season from 2025, Huddersfield are in the bottom 4 over the last 20 games, and it's just so unacceptable. But we'll move on from this game because I'm fed up of talking about it. Johnny, you had a nice little trip down, didn't you? And you've got a little passion for Torquay United, haven't you? So you were in the home of Exeter's or Torquay's main rivals in Exeter, and that didn't go particularly well. And then Torquay didn't win the league, but they've still got a chance in the playoffs. You've done a little video as well. I was gonna roll the video into this, but I don't think there's any point because it's there. It's on our YouTube channel in the YouTube Shorts. Check it out. Johnny went down and did a nice little 3-minute match review. If anyone fancies doing 3-minute match reviews next season, let us know, because I think that could be a nice little feature if we can get enough people doing it. We used to do the away day log kind of thing, and I think we ran out of people sort of doing it eventually. So I am aware that it might not be a weekly thing, but if you guys fancy doing it, let us know, because I think that could certainly be something that would be interesting to do next season as well. And we've just moved, so you guys that have signed up for Patreon, if you're still getting adverts and you've signed up for Patreon and you're in the supporter subscription, let me know, because you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be getting that, and I can help you with that if you send me a message in Patreon. And we've moved now as well to Discord. So if you do have a look in the community tab on Patreon, there's a link to Discord server, which we're going to use for our post-match chatter. And if you want to have your say on a game. And also there's a neat little thing you can do and leave some voice notes. Aidan Grover left a voice note, but he was the only one who did it after the game against Exeter. So I'm sorry, Aidan, I'm not going to play that in, because I was going to make a little feature of it, but we only got one. Probably because people are fed up. But so in future going forward, a few voice notes in there would be quite cool, and then we can make a little feature killer like we used to do back in the day when you used to ring in from Australia, and we used to have the phone in section. I think we might bring that back, which would be quite cool. But yeah, let's go to what the town fans are saying on Discord, and we'll come back to Johnny, and he can tell us about what else he got up to down in Exeter and whether he walked those Roman walls and whatnot we talked about in the drive-in. So JD says, the best thing about the day was Terry the Terrier winning the mascot race. Very entertaining. The game was town season rolled into one, not taking chances, blah, 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 blah. How rapid was Terry? Have you seen? Do you know what? I reckon someone stuck Adama Diakabi in that suit, because he was flying, wasn't he? I mean, I watch him lollop around the pitch, sort of like slowly high-fiving the kids. My son Charlie likes to go high-fiving beforehand, and he doesn't look rapid, but As soon as he set off there, Johnny, he was like grease lightning. I mean,
If
it's the only thing we've won this season, so we're gonna cling to Terry winning the mascot race.
taking a temperature from like the Exeter officials that were around that, I mean, putting that on, I don't think that was in the script either. So, yeah, interesting.
I wonder if that was the usual Terry, or where the town have cheated and thrown someone in. I wonder if it was like DTS on the slide, just sort of like, you know what I mean? He's been training for this moment for the last few months. He's going to stick the suit on and do a good sprint. I do wonder if he stuck a youth player in or something, like some rapid youth player, because it was lightning. He was absolutely frightening.
Matt, maybe this is what Cartwright were referring to with how much better we are now than we were used to be. Maybe it would just Terry's stats. Maybe we're something better, but we have won something else this season. You can't forget that we had the Zorb fight and the Zorb game of football at Wigan, where a town fan did win that one as well. So I think that's the second win this season we've had at halftime. So I don't think it quite warrants a star on the shirt, but it's just something we need to remember. It's a positive in a season of many negatives.
Zorb and Terry. I'd love to see Terry running with the Zorb ball around him. I think that'd top my season off. With Ellie Sachs playing in the background. Right, so Mark Harrison says, I was part of the Southern Terrier group in Hawaiian shirts and one was thrown out before half-time for abusing Matty Pearson. Terry the Terrier has pace. Could the solution to one of our main problems be hiding in plain sight? Chromosome D says, I'm just pleased Worthy has listened to what the fans have wanted for the last few years and given a nice, relaxing mid-table finish. You know, we lamented this, didn't we, not so long since, about saying we can never just have a nice, relaxing mid-table season finish. And then we've done it in League One. But we went the Championship when we did it. We just wanted to finish in the middle of the Championship and have no dramas. And here we are, League One. Scott Nixon says, rinse and repeat, no real surprises. Any player who is on loan or out of contract, I don't want to see on Sunday. There is 0 point playing any of them. Personally, I feel the league will be more difficult next year too, so I have zero hope on us getting anywhere near the top 6 a game. I mean, you never know, really, do you, with the top 6 until everyone's done the January bits and pieces. And it depends who comes down, because Cardiff could be a bit of a mess coming down next season. They've got financial issues, less money coming in. They've been threatening to come down for a while, haven't they? Plymouth are usually pretty well run, in all honesty. You'd expect them to maybe have a little bit of a bounce, but they've had a couple of ropey years. Hull are very much like us in the way that an owner throws money in, but it's some bizarre signings they make at Hull. So, you know, you never know what you're going to get with the Forrest Gump of League One potentially. But there's Luton are still there. Preston could come down, and I think that might be. I think Johnny would enjoy Preston coming down, living closer to the rest of us. And Preston without. It was Trevor Hemmings, wasn't it? The old owner who passed away and left the club to his family. And I think they've slowly been deteriorating since then. So I think, for me, Preston, Cardiff and Plymouth. And I think we look at that and think, do you know what, you'd accept that. They might do really well next year, but there's a good chance they might not as well. It's not like the Birmingham, is it? When Birmingham came down and they've just talking about Champions League already, aren't they?
I'd agree with that. I think
of us,
one thing I say about Plymouth, you've not got. I mean, I'm going to use Rotherham as an example, but it's bad because obviously they didn't do it this season. But they're not those kind of like League One Championship yo-yo teams, are they? Plymouth have had a bit of a purple patch, but they've always been League One and will League Two for a few seasons. Hull, yeah, I think Hull probably will be most because they've got the potential to chuck a bit of money out. I know the rules have changed next year, but where they spend that money, I think Cardiff will struggle just because of the whole situation off the pitch. And I think equally with Preston. So I see what he's meaning, because you hear those names and you think, yeah, we've played them week in, week out in the Championship. Well, not week in, week out, year in, year out in the Championship for a number of years. But you're not going to have the Wrexham and the circus, to quote someone, that it is at Wrexham. It's definitely more sophisticated than a circus, even though it might look like it. And then Birmingham, you're not going to have that. So it is wide open. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's nailed on for Town over this, given how we've done over the last 20 games. But yeah, I think it'll be tight. It'll be tighter. But I think you've definitely got more opportunity to get that top 2.
You know, I go to the circus at Roundhay Park in Leeds, and it's usually pretty well organised and pretty good. So I'm not taking circus in any negative forms. There's yeah. So Mark Harrison says, I'm afraid it was a microcosm of the season. A good spell and a goal, an equaliser, an injury, a bit of setback and a crumble as we have no backbone. Even a bit of misfortune thrown in with Kane's disallowed goal. Mark's also written a nice little ditty on the website as well that you can read with his ramblings from a Devon Terrier based on the game yesterday, and that's available on the Patreon as well. It's a free one, so you don't need to give us any money for that. You just need to sign up and it's there for you. Aidan says, Duff is an absolute miracle worker for getting this group 16 unbeaten. Surely another team will hire him shortly. Do you know what? I thought Matty Pearson, I thought Lee Nichols' press conference was quite revealing in some ways on, was it Thursday, Friday? Because basically he admitted, didn't he, that the team were all quite together and they were all pushing in the same direction at one point. And then when the injuries came and things started going wrong, people just looked out for themselves and chucked the towel in, etc. And I do think that if we hadn't had those injuries and Michael Duff would still be here, and I think we'd have been fine. Would we have got second? Probably not, looking in hindsight. But with that luck with the injuries, I think things would have panned out differently, and I don't think the players would have gone off pieced so badly as well. Obviously, there's no way of telling, is there, in hindsight, but you do sort of think. I did find that revealing from him, and also from Jonathan Hogg the week, I think 1 or 2 weeks before on Radio Leeds, saying, look out on the pitch and you can tell who's trying and you can tell who's not, which indicates that there is an issue with players giving up. But I've got to be honest, I don't understand why they're playing, why these players are still playing. I know there's not a lot, we've still got a lot of injuries and there's not a lot going on in the B team for that are probably capable of stepping up. I did think we'd see Yapenda. I thought Luke Daly might have had a sniff at some point, but we didn't. But it is what it is. James B then says we should never have sacked Michael Duff. I mean, some of us did say that at the time, didn't we, Killer? Mark Harrison says getting rid of Duff and thinking we'd have a better chance under an inexperienced coach was a mad decision. Pure panic. And then there's a lot of talk about Michael Duff and not sacking him. But Scott Nixon says, I don't think we'd have got the place with Michael Duff either. Nagel has rolled the dice and it's been a horror show. Worry this is going to be years before any progress. To be fair to what Scott's saying, under Michael Duff, I think we'd lost 4 of the last 5 under him, haven't we? And we hadn't scored at home since 1928 or something. So there was he's right, I think, in some ways. It was no guarantee that we'd have been in the playoffs. I sort of look back at the injuries and think if we hadn't have had those injuries, would it have been different? But it still always pinpoints, Killer, to when Kevin Nagel flew over and we signed Joe Taylor. Something happened there. Everyone just changed. Like we were say it every week, don't we? Something changed. The whole narrative changed and the way people spoke changed, and all of a sudden people felt pressure and people felt worried, and it was really weird, wasn't it?
You know what it is though, Matt. You know what it is why that happened.
Go on.
Was that pod that I think universally we all kind of went second and changed our predictions?
Oh yeah.
Since then, it's just been
We don't talk, Johnny. We don't talk about that, Johnny. We forget we don't talk about that.
I've deleted that from Acast and YouTube. It's not available anymore. Is that one? There's a hole in the library.
But the thing is, boys, the difference with Michael Duff is we went through a patch earlier in the season when we lost 6 out of 7, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
but he found a way to pick us back up, and I think that's the difference. With Duff, we were going to have spells where we weren't going to win games, but I don't think any of us expected him to lose the players. But like you say, Matt, something happened in January and it changed, and it changed again when he started suddenly talking about how the profiles of the strikers that we had limited how we could play football. And then from that on out, it was only ever going to end poorly, unfortunately. If Michael Duff had stayed, my prediction of 7th would have been fine, Matt. That's all I'm saying. I think it would have been better, but not quite enough still. But not in this, where we find ourselves now, which really feels like it's quite catastrophic in that the football's gone shite at the long part of the season when it comes. I don't think
it'd have gone this bad.
No, and with the season ticket price increase as well, I don't think we'd have been in the hole that we're in now had Duff have stayed. So overall, would have been a better position if Duff had stayed, but I'm not entirely sure it'd have been promotion. Put it that way.
No. Chris says, I still think we'd have scraped in the playoffs with Duff. Might not have been pretty, but it'd have found a way. Since the Crawler game, we've just been tactically inept. At least under Duff, it was more down to individual errors. I mean, I still think it's down to individual errors. We've pointed them out, haven't we, week on week, but I mean, the system's been a bit ropey, but I just put this down to the players personally. How he got a tune out of any of these is beyond me. Who the hell would want to damage their reputation to come to us now? Lee Morris says he's still annoyed at the decision to sack Duff. Phil Ross says, I feel for Worthy. He's a good guy who loves the club, and I think this has been a steep learning curve. Hard to know if he's not cut out for the number one job, or if it's more that this squad would ruin anyone. Duff might have had us finishing close to the playoffs, but I'm not convinced he would, to be honest. It's astonishing how this squad manages to go ahead in a game and still crumble. Thank goodness it's over next week. Yeah. Colin Franchek says, I agree with this. Worthy has been found out a little, it's fair to say. See, I'm still not 100% sure. I just think the players I think they've pulled up the drawbridge for anyone. Would someone else have got a different reaction? Possibly. But for me, you look at the people not doing basic things on the pitch, and that's not down to manager instruction, is that? Billy Town says it remains only us and Morecambe in the Football League who can finish the season off with 6 straight defeats, and thus a full stripe of red with how the BBC displays the league tables. That may be a selected stat, but it's not good. I mean, it is kind of good from plucking that one out. I mean, I plucked out a great stat about Bradford City to try and make myself feel better on Saturday, Killer, and that was that if Bradford City don't win on Saturday and still get automatically promoted, it would be the lowest points total to ever get automatically promoted from the bottom division since 3 points for a win came in 1981. And at least if they got promoted with that, we could still say, yeah, but you're still shit. But small mercies at this point, small crumbs of comfort, isn't it? But even if they win, it's still like the lowest points total to get automatically promoted since 1998 or something. So, I mean, we talk about the ones coming down, but the ones going up, there's no Wrexham and there's no Stockport coming up this year. So, who knows with the league? You never know, dears. Things happen in the summer. Reading will have a new owner, I think, hopefully, touch wood, this time next year as well. So, things can change. Lee Morris says it was a more chat about Worthy. Hudder's Mad says, I don't understand this team these last 2 years. I just want it to end. I don't know what else to say. I was going to go down to Exeter. However, after travelling to Lincoln, I called it off. Call me a poor fan, etc. But for me, it wasn't worth the amount of money to get there and back. I had a lovely day in the sun instead down here in Pompey. And that's the thing, isn't it? People just not going, Killer. You were going to go, I think, to Exeter, weren't you? And you decided to go look at carrots instead. And that just kind of like sums it up, isn't it? That you'd rather go look at vegetables and celery than go watch Huddersfield Town. And I don't blame Huddersfield Mad, I think it's Ben, for that. I didn't go either. I watched it at home, got annoyed, but there's a lot of people in the same boat, isn't there?
Why should we care when the players don't? That's exactly the be all and end all of it. And when there's such a disconnect between the hierarchy and us, and then the players are waste men, what's the point? I could have gone, like I say, we were going to go stay over, and the lad we were staying with ended up breaking his ankle midweek, so it gave us a good excuse not to bother going, because it'd have cost us a hotel on top, and that was just enough. And honestly, Matt, any other time of the season when there's something still to play for, I'd have been there in a second. But when they can't be asked, I can't be asked, and I don't think I'm the only one. And like Johnny said after the game, it wasn't too vociferous, was it? The atmosphere when it comes to booing the players, people have just given up. It's like we've lost 3-1 to Exeter away from home, where in the game we've actually been okay. We've not I don't think we were that bad, but in moments we're embarrassingly awful with unprofessional approaches from individual players. Yet we still don't really care. Everyone's just kind of had enough of it. Is want to just wash our hands with this season and move on. And I can't remember being at that point before, Matt. I love football. I love watching any kind of football. I'll watch any division in any country and I'll find something to get entertained by. But with this Town team now, there's nothing. There is not one element of this team I can watch and think, yeah, do you know what? It might be shit everywhere else, but at least that's a positive. At least Eccleston coming in is putting a bit of a decent show. And we don't have, like you say, have a good B team where the next man up coming through that might be a breakout star like Jack Hunt a few years ago or Brodie Spencer. It just doesn't even feel like we have that. We're left with next to nothing at the moment. And to say we're £52 million in, according to Kevin Nagle on his recent video diary, again, as I said in the driving, I can't speak.
Can't speak. The last one is Combe Valley. Colin Fronchak says, we have to get the next appointment right because the culture of the club, coupled with the way we finished this season, has me very worried about next season. Since we've been in the Premier League, the fortunes of the town and the club seems a mirror image of the 1970s version of events. I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but it is pretty crap, in all honesty. It's just everything in Huddersfield just seems a bit doldrummy at the minute. Even Huddersfield Giants are garbage at the moment as well, aren't they? There's a rock bottom of Super League. Can't beat Wakefield at home, Castleford, and Town are shite. It's just rubbish.
Matt, we do Matt. No, it's not though, is it? Because next Saturday, Sheffield and Hallamshire. Saturday, County Cup final. Huddersfield's own kind of, wait for the postcode, Grangemore Saints, my boys, are in the final against Woonwell Town Reserves at Sheffield Eagles Stadium, the Olympic Legacy Stadium near Meadowall, near the IKEA in Sheffield, 11 o'clock before we go down to the town game afterwards. And if we win, I'll bring the trophy. I'll walk around the stadium with my trophy if I can get it in. Because whilst everyone else is a joke in this town, Matt, at the moment, we've done okay. So when we lose 5-0, I'll just pretend it didn't happen. Just like we did those second place predictions in January and they just got deleted, Matt. You'll never hear me speak about it ever again. But you're right. The Giants are struggling. Town are struggling. It's not been a good start to 2025, has it?
Halifax Giants. That's pretty much, I think, all we've got time for this week. There's a couple of other bits and pieces. Town women lost 4-0 to Doncaster Bells today to finish their league season, but they have a cup final coming, which is great. And the Huddersfield Town B team lost 2-1 to Mansfield in midweek in the B team, whatever it is, is it Premier League Cup or something? Which wasn't, I don't think it's Premier League Cup, isn't it? But basically the reserves final, isn't it? To complete the set, again, 1-0 up, lost 2-1. So it's L's across the board, isn't it, today, boys? And I think that's it. We've been going for an hour. We'll call it a day. Johnny, thanks for coming on. Check out Johnny's 3-minute match review on the YouTube channel. It's on the shorts section. If anyone fancies doing it, get in touch with us either via the Patreon community or on the Discord. Let us know. And Barry Smith, you're a legend. Keep plugging on, mate. And we'll be back next week.
There's a team that is dear to its followers. The colours are bright blue and white. They're a team of renown, and they're the pride of the town, and the game of football is their delight. And all the while upon the field of play, thousands loudly cheer them on the way. Often you can hear them say, who can beat the town today? And then the bells will ring so merrily, and every goal shall be a memory. So town, play up and bring that cup back to Huddersfield. So town, play up and bring the cup back to Huddersfield.